And then when I came to New Bethesda and saw the owl house, but it was in days of ecstasy for me just being here. Traveling down, I'd ask people about the owl house and they'd all say, oh, it's sort of weird or strange.
It's not acceptable. And to be a single woman here is still, I think it's not acceptable.
What she did was something she really had to hold to herself and protect, actually.
You know, you need to be part of the social fabric and support society in that way by conforming.
Covered in glass, women's art, and all of that. It really gave me a sense. I couldn't wait to get here. The stillness and the silence that's possible out here, out in the desert, and joy and love and all the passions of a woman who is unstoppable. It's kind of sad, but infuriating really, that it took Helen Martin's death really for people to get the sort of broad hint that something amazing can happen in a town. Because she felt so unappreciated, didn't she? So isolated.
Here she is a woman, and a woman living alone in a little village in this high mountain area, just isolated. So very, very isolated. And I think historically in South Africa, as in much of the world, that it's been very expected, certainly, that women are going to be married with children and living a very, you know, traditional lifestyle.
I think the kind of images she was producing might have caused some consternation, you know, with people who are more religious. There's a bit of a scare about, you know, creating icons and symbols that, especially little devils and you know, figures that are quite erotic. In composing Glass Sky, I chose the Hindustani music because of all those wonderful creatures inside Helen Martin's yard. Camels and the Eastern men all pointing sort of a so-called east, as well as this exterior landscape, this wonderful arid landscape. And interspersed along the way, I've got other elements. I've got the birds coming back in and out, an Eastern European feel, sometimes like a gypsy feel in the violin. Because I saw that element in Helen Martin's work. Because I love the idea that perhaps there's a way that all of these elements can meet together in a very sort of easy way. You know, I was imagining what she might have liked to have heard in her head and what she did hear in her head. And, you know, just thinking about how the inner and outer landscape of an artist is often one and the same. And there's this nice cohabitation or confusion or merging or something. You know, there's a dissolving of boundaries when you work that kind of creativity that Helen Martin's had.
Her biggest concern was whether or not she was viewed as an artist. And I think that there was a sense that she just was not at ease with herself because of these very difficult things that happened in her childhood. She knew how far she was from the norm. Mm-hmm. And she knew she was not about to go back. There was no way she could become part of the norm of this society. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That perhaps there was this very strong creative imperative that had been there, and that was the way she wanted to create, was in an artistic way. To be able to take those experiences, to make those kinds of things an opportunity for healing, as opposed to letting it collapse in upon itself in a destructive way. And I think as artists, that's something that we work a lot with, is to have both the despair and the joy.
Well, you certainly got that in your composition. That's what I love about the opening, is just that sense of light and playfulness, and it's a really lovely sort of joyful break from this what's been going on in Glass Sky, which is very still and serene.
As we explore, in a sense, the inside of Owl House, we come upon the little devil and the symbolism. Something like that, where it's half human and half animal. And the fact that this was the one piece that Helen had created with her own hands. I just felt that it was really, in a sense, her shadow side that needed almost love and attention and optimism breathed into it. So that then that kind of release and that sense of joy would be available. And by bringing the little devil, or the inner part, into the outdoors, that was my way, in a sense, to symbolically create this transformation. So we hear this bum, 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 and that is the little devil as it goes out into the camel yard, and it has its own special dance, because of course it has one cloven foot and one human foot. And so what you find in the third section, it builds and builds until you get to the very end, with a strong, climactic, and very joyful ending. you.